Or white?
Red.
Red.
Well, I mean,
GOP red.
yeah, no kidding. I was born in 1969, so the space program to me has never not existed. And so to see it die is really appalling.
Disheartening.
Yeah. It's a piece of our what makes us Americans. We're leaders in that. But thank you for coming and thank you for your words. I think leadership is the defining word of this campaign and of this election itself for CD14, because we're looking for a new leader. For the last, I don't know how many years, 20-some odd years, we've really not had an opportunity to vote for a new leader in District 14. But we've never had District 14 look like it looks right now either. So it's a new era for District 14 as well. And it's never had a woman running for the seat as best I know, and it's never had a woman represent it. So there's a lot of newness coming around, and some of it's positive, I hope. And I hope that we can help to rebuild the space program with some of the leadership of Congressman Olson, whoever wins District 36. And then if I'm elected, I certainly will support it going forward. So with that, I mean, with leadership, we're all here. Each of you who are here are really leaders in this election. And in my campaign, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, as do those who are working on my campaign. I guess starting with leadership, I want to recognize Robert Gonzalez, who he and his wife Lisa founded the Clear Lake Tea Party and showed some leadership there. They've got an organization which is really strong, really active, and they basically catapulted Robert onto the stage, and he did a fantastic job as a candidate in this race, garnering 14%, right, in Galveston County of the vote, which is significant out of 23,000 votes. And Robert has endorsed us in this race. And so we're very honored to have the Tea Party candidate and his support and the support of his supporters in the runoff campaign. So thank you for that. And if you think about this race, this district really is an energy-centric, petrochemical-centric district with a lot of maritime interests as well. So I want to also recognize someone else who's here, Captain John Peterlin, who works at the Port of Galveston. So we have a maritime leader here as well tonight. And one of the guys on my team that we cannot do without, Mark Lapperouse, his father and mother are here tonight. I want to recognize them as well. They keep us going. So while Mark couldn't be here because he's on the phones and doing some good stuff, his parents But so where we are a few days out from early voting. Monday, early voting begins. It goes all next week until Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day of the week. Please tell your friends and your family that that's happening. A lot of people, we call them every day, don't know, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And the election day is July 31st, so it's less than 2 weeks away. So that's where we are. And our campaign's energy is growing every day. Every day we're getting closer and closer to the finish line, and our momentum keeps picking up, which was phenomenal. Because let's take a glimpse back from where we are to where we were. In August of 2011, when I first decided to get in this race and started, no one even knew who I was. I had zero name ID. And we had, at that time, about 10 candidates in the race. So developing name ID amongst a pack of men, 9 men, for me was a bit of a challenge. Raising money was a bit of a challenge. Getting my message out was a bit of a challenge. It got muffled among everybody on stage. But guess what? We just put our nose to the grindstone, and we took all the energy we could to get out and shake hands and meet people, talk to them one-on-one, and showed a different kind of leadership that I hope is going to resonate on July 31st as well. And that's how we got here, was just a grassroots effort. So when you talk grassroots in CD14 primary, you're talking the Harris campaign, and that's where you all come in. Coming here tonight and helping us raise money is critical, because we absolutely need more money to get across the finish line. This is the final lap, and we have a lot of work left to do. In fact, it's the most critical hour for us right now to get across this finish line. And so your help and support with money is greatly appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you know anybody else who has resources who'd like to support us, let them know. But also your help on the phones, emails, letters, block walking, whatever you can do to help us get the word out. This is going to be a race all the way to the finish line. It's a turnout race. It's a runoff. It's no different than anybody else's. No one has a significant lead. We're all sort of neck and neck.
Good.
And on May 29th, we came out of the primary in second place, but we also had a strong group behind us, and we have continued to keep pushing forward. In fact, my team is the same team that Congressman Olson used when he beat Nick Lamson back in 2008. So we know we have a good team on the ground, and we know we have a good team that can win. We just need to keep pushing forward. Congressman Olson came out of his primary 10 points behind the leader, Shelley Sekula Gibbs. And he beat her very significantly in the runoff because of his strong team, and obviously because he's a great candidate and a great congressman. We're going to do the same thing, but we need your help. It's a team effort. So, thank you for coming out. A couple of things about where we've been through the runoff. We started off in the runoff, and we have been working hard. I've tried to, now that we're down to 2 candidates, organize a debate. We've asked for a debate. We haven't been able to get one organized. We've been told by my opponent that he didn't want, we offered to do a debate, he didn't accept the offer. He said he would consider a debate if a third party, like a Republican group or chamber, would organize it. He'd consider it. We've had opportunities presented to us. He said no to each one of them. So, we're on the eve of the election without an opportunity for us to each vet, for you to vet us each on all the issues. I'm sorry about that. I tried. Nothing I can do. However, I think it's important to note that when you look at the 2 candidates, what you see on paper, you can still tell a big difference between us. Because while we're both Republicans, we're completely different in our leadership styles. My background is in energy. I've worked with energy and petrochemical companies for about 13 years. Those are the industries that drive the economy here in District 14. Those in the maritime industry. I've reached out to folks like Captain Peterlin and to some others to learn as much as I can about the maritime industry on some of the issues that are going on. And through that process, I feel like I have a good head start going to Washington, D.C. and representing across the board a lot of the employers who drive careers right here in the area. My opponent, many of you know him. He is a small businessman, ran out of his house an air conditioning repair business for over 30 years. Nothing wrong with that. My father ran an air conditioning repair business, not from his house. My mom ran a maid service from her house. I know from experience that doesn't prepare you for some of the issues that are going to be on the desk of the next representative in this district. And I think it's critical to think about that, what experience someone brings to the table to address those issues. And so I hope when you're talking to your friends, you express that difference. But also, you know, my record's been attacked. Any of you who are receiving the mail-outs know that my record has been attacked. I want to set the record straight. When I went on to council in the city of Pearland, the tax rate was higher than it was every year I was on council after that, except for my last year. And last year I voted against the budget to raise taxes, and I voted against the budget that could not be balanced without dipping into the reserves. That's the only year I was on council when taxes were higher than they were when I went into that office. Those are the facts. So, whatever you read about me on a tax raising, you can just say those aren't the true facts. I've actually voted against it. So what I need you to do is go out and talk to your friends, get them to the polls, help us win this election, help us get across the finish line. I should also mention that I'm honored to have the endorsements of Congressman Ted Poe, who represents Jefferson County, and Congressman Pete Olson, who represents the northern end of Galveston County in this election. I've also earned the endorsement of Shane Howard, who is the tax assessor and collector for Jefferson County, and several other congressmen, Jeb Hensherling, Kay Granger, Kiko Fonseca.
You have Henserling.
Yes. And some others. So we've been honored to have some of the Texas delegation look at the candidates, vet them themselves, and show some support for my candidacy in this very, very important energy and petrochemical centric district. So with your help and with theirs, we can win this thing. I have little notes here, make sure I don't forget anything, because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, we just need a strong candidate to go up against Lamson. Lamson's well known in this area, and we need
that is one of my final points, and that is a lot of people are under the misconception that this race ends on July 31st. It won't. This is a race that's going to go to November 6th. And on Election Day, May 29th, in this primary, the Houston Chronicle reported that the Democrats want, out of all 9 candidates, their candidate of choice on November 6th, the GOP nominee, is my opponent in this runoff. They view him as the weakest of all 9 candidates. Now, through the primary process, we heard through the grapevine that of all 9 candidates, the least wanted by Lamson is the one you're looking at and supporting tonight, me. So I would say what that tells you is that a vote for my opponent is a vote for Nick Lamson, and we don't want that. We don't want that at all. I've been told that the Democrats view this district as the second most competitive district in Texas for them. So anyone who says that whoever wins on July 31st is a shoo-in isn't really talking about what's going on, the facts. A friend of mine, or a new friend of mine, told me he had lunch with Nick Lamson last week. I wasn't there, so I'll just have to report what I was told. He said Nick Lamson's remarks to him were that of all the districts, this is the one that the Democrats feel really comfortable about, that they can actually win it if they get the right candidate on the GOP ticket, and that they get all the momentum they need moving forward. So it is going to be a competitive race in November, which is why I'm working so hard, because I don't want Nick Lamson to win on July 31st.
No.
I want him to lose, and that's where you guys come in. I hope you do too. It's going to be a team effort, but we can do this. We've come a long way, baby, and no one expected us to be here. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to have this opportunity to serve, and I say this every chance I get. I want to work for you, but more importantly, I want to work with you, because it's going to be a team effort. This country needs leadership. This country needs integrity. I've tried my darndest to grow some thicker skin through this process and to take the high road, because this is the reason why smear campaigns are the reason why a lot of good people don't go into public office. I knew it was coming. True story, when I first filed for council in 2006, I got a call from my current opponent in this race, and his advice to me was to grow thick skin, because in his world, politics gets dirty. He was right. But that's okay. I've got thick skin, and I've got great support. I'm going to take the high road, because we need integrity, we need leadership, and we need someone who's going to represent District 14 that way in Washington, D.C. And that's what I'm aiming to do, but I can't do it without your help. So thank you very much for coming tonight. I will be quiet. Thanks, Russ and Reagan, again, for opening your home. Gene, for coming out. Really do appreciate it. And Robert, for your endorsement. The people who came in last, I will note too. There's my media law professor from Texas A&M.
Woo!
1992, she sat on the front row.
Oh, that's
I made a
awesome.
pretty good grade in your class.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Awesome.
But thank you all. I'll answer any questions if you like.
I have a sorry.
Go ahead.
During the last series of elections, when we now face the runoff, one of the largest pots of voters that many people in Galveston did not realize existed were the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that are part of Galveston, Corpus Christi, not Corpus Christi, the Galveston Coast Guard Station. I went out and personally registered 1,500 young Coast Guardsmen to vote in Galveston, that live in Galveston and didn't realize that there were issues. Would it be possible for us to, and I did something with the base commander out there, who I'm sure you know. I went and took coffee to the base exchange, and I sat out there with my Starbucks coffee and Dave will attest to it, where's Dave? I got up 3 mornings in a row and took Starbucks coffee and cheese danishes out there, and I passed out information about various different candidates. Long story short, would it be possible one day for us, with permission from the base, to have you come out and shake hands at the base exchange? I'm a dependent widow. I'm served on active duty, but my husband died on active duty. That's how I have access to the base. And they are very interested. In fact, they brought a bus of voters to the polls during early voting.
Well, I would say absolutely. I don't
Who's
keep,
handling your schedule? Is Dana handling it?
yes, Dana's the person to talk
I'll call
to
him.
see if we can
I
work
know.
that out.
Is that allowed on government property though? Or do you have to be off-site?
Actually, if you notify your opponent that you're doing it, it's allowed if you give the opponent the opportunity, and none of the other opponents did anything about it, and all of my candidates won.
We'll just want to, we'll want to follow all the
We'll
rules,
vet,
obviously.
no, we'll vet
Yeah.
it on a congressional
Yeah.
level, because it was local. I mean, we did it, but, I mean, it's an option and an opportunity.
Well, let's just
Great.
leave it on the table and make sure that we can comply with all the rules, and if we can, we have time to do it, then, but that's not for me to say tonight. I need to know what
Oh, no,
the
no, I
parameters are.
just,
But certainly
you know,
interested,
we did.
definitely.
Registered 1,500.
Mine's more of a basic question and trying to garner support for you. Are people required to vote in the primary, to vote in the runoff?
Great question. The question is, if you didn't vote in the primary, can you vote in the runoff? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
The only person who cannot vote in the Republican runoff is anyone who voted in the Democratic primary. But if you
Okay.
didn't vote at all, absolutely you can go and vote.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, if no one has any other questions, please.
Felicia.
You do. Go ahead.
Felicia.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Ryan budget, do you support that, or?
The Ryan budget's a sound budget, in my view.
I don't have a question, I'd just like to make a pitch for something I've been doing for her for the last 2 days. It's really a lot of fun. And that's going down to her campaign headquarters and getting on the phone. First of all, the phone system itself is really fabulous. I won't go into detail, but it's really fabulous. Very easy to use. And I would encourage, and it's fun, I promise you it's fun. So I would encourage anyone, if you got an hour, 2 hours, whatever, come down. I make over 100 phone calls, and it's really a lot of fun. I've had maybe 200 and some phone calls I've made. I've had maybe 2 or 3. I'm so tired of this click. You know, but mostly what I've had is one of 2 things. Either I voted for her in the primary, and I intend to vote for her in the runoff, and I have her yard sign in my yard. I get that, which is highly gratifying, of course. But I also get the ones which are the most important ones, where you actually get the vote of someone who doesn't know anything about this race. And it's, you know, every single vote. And if you get down there and get on the phone, you will pick up some votes, right?
We do?
And he and I are proof that Longhorns and Aggies can sit right
I didn't know that about you.
It's all for purpose.
I got a chair in between us.
We're all friendly.
Absolutely.
We're all Americans. We all want the same thing. Great. Well, thank everybody for coming out. Hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. I'm going to obviously stick around and ask any questions you want privately, but please.
Thank you.
And go vote next Monday.
We have food.